I never thought I'd be one of those women, the ones who file lawsuits, who make scenes, who refuse to just smile and take it. But life has a way of revealing exactly who you are when the floor disappears beneath your feet. 3 weeks ago, I was standing in the glass-walled conference room of Meridian Marketing, accepting the Quarterly Excellence Award while my colleagues applauded. Today, I'm sitting at my kitchen table with a termination letter, wondering how I'll afford prenatal vitamins next month. The morning it all fell apart started like any other. I'd arrived early to prepare for our quarterly review presentation. The office was that particular kind of quiet I'd always loved. Before the chaos, before the phones started ringing, before Ishmael started making his rounds, with critical comments disguised as friendly check-ins, I smoothed my blazer over my still flat stomach, a secret gesture of acknowledgement to the tiny life inside me. At 12 weeks, I wasn't showing yet, but the knowledge of my pregnancy hummed through me like an electrical current. I'd planned to tell my team after the presentation. I'd even brought cupcakes, pink and blue, because I'm nothing if not a sucker for tradition. Kayla, Holly appeared in my office doorway, coffee in hand. You ready to crush this presentation? I nodded, pushing the stack of cupcake boxes further under my desk. Born ready. Did you see the engagement metrics from the Westfield campaign? They're going to flip. Holly leaned against my door frame, her dark curls falling across her shoulder as she tilted her head. You know Ishmael's bringing in some bigwig from corporate, right? Apparently, they're restructuring the creative department. Something cold slithered down my spine. Restructuring. Nobody told me about restructuring. Just heard it from Jessica in the break room. She seemed weirdly excited about it. Holly rolled her eyes. You know how she gets when she thinks she has information nobody else does. Jessica, of course, 28, ambitious to a fault, and perpetually dressed like she was heading to a nightclub after work. She'd been shadowing Ishmael for months, laughing too hard at his jokes, staying late when he stayed late. I'd written it off as harmless career maneuvering. I'm sure it's nothing, I said, more to convince myself than Holly. Our department's numbers are solid. Better than solid. We're up 18% from last quarter. The presentation went flawlessly. I'd built the deck myself, analyzed every data point, anticipated every question. When I finished, there was that perfect moment of silence that tells you you've nailed it, followed by Ishmael's slow, deliberate applause. Excellent work, as always, Kayla, he said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. This is why we value you so much here at Meridian. The corporate visitor, a stone-faced woman named Diane, nodded without expression. After the meeting dispersed, I caught Ishmael in the hallway. My heart hammered against my ribs as I touched his elbow. Do you have a minute? There's something I'd like to discuss. His smile tightened. Of course. Everything okay? We stepped into a small meeting room, and I closed the door behind us. The words I'd rehearsed a dozen times suddenly felt stuck in my throat. I wanted to let you know that I'm pregnant, I finally said, the words rushing out. I'm due in November. I've already started working on a transition plan for my maternity leave, and I've identified who can cover each of my major accounts while I'm out. I expected congratulations, a smile, maybe even a hug. Ishmael had always cultivated that "we're family here" atmosphere. Instead, his face went completely blank for 3 terrible seconds before he arranged it into something resembling happiness. Well, that's wonderful news, Kayla. Congratulations. He cleared his throat. Have you thought about how this will affect your workload? The Westfield account is entering a critical phase, and the hours. I've thought about everything, I assured him, the first flutter of unease spreading through my chest. I don't anticipate any issues. I'm planning to work right up until my due date, and I'll be available for emergencies, even during leave. He nodded, eyes darting to the door like he was plotting his escape. We'll need to discuss this further, of course. Let's set up a proper meeting. My calendar's packed today, but perhaps tomorrow? Sure, I said, my enthusiasm deflating. Tomorrow works. Back at my desk, I pulled out the cupcakes and sent a team email inviting everyone for a quick announcement. Within minutes, I was surrounded by genuine excitement, hugs, questions about names and due dates, offers to plan a shower. Everyone seemed thrilled. Everyone except Jessica, who hovered at the edge of the group with a strange smile, and Ishmael, who didn't show up at all. That afternoon, as I was wrapping up a client call, a calendar notification popped up on my screen. A meeting with Ishmael had been scheduled for 9 a.m. the next morning. The subject line read only, "Discussion." My phone buzzed with a text from Holly. "Why is Jessica telling everyone she's taking over the Westfield account?" I stared at the message, a cold weight settling in my stomach. The cupcake I'd been eating suddenly tasted like sawdust. When my desk phone rang, I already knew who it would be. "Kayla," said Ishmael's assistant, her voice carefully neutral. "Mr. Underwood would like to see you in his office, right away." Ishmael's office had always intimidated me. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city skyline, making visitors feel small against the vastness beyond. The massive desk, the carefully curated art, everything designed to remind you who held the power. I'd been in this room countless times, but never with the knot of dread now twisting in my stomach. "Close the door, please," Ishmael said, without looking up from his computer. His voice had that artificial pleasantness I'd heard him use with clients right before he delivered bad news. I sat in the chair across from him, my hands folded in my lap to keep them from shaking. The silence stretched as he typed something, making me wait, a power move I'd seen him use in negotiations. Finally, he looked up. "Kayla, I want to start by saying how much we value your contributions to Meridian." Past tense. He was using past tense. But after careful consideration of the company's current trajectory and needs, we've decided to make some organizational changes. My mouth went dry. "What kind of changes?" He slid a folder across the desk. "We're eliminating your position." The words hit me like a physical blow. Eliminating my position. I'm the senior project manager. I just delivered the best quarterly results in the department's history. "This isn't about performance," he said smoothly. "It's about restructuring for efficiency. The company is moving in a new direction that requires a different organizational approach." "A different approach," I repeated, my voice hollow. "And what approach is that, exactly?" He leaned back, steepling his fingers. "We're consolidating the project management and creative direction roles. It streamlines communication and reduces overhead." "And who's taking on this consolidated role?" His eyes flicked away for a split second. "Jessica has shown tremendous initiative lately. She's hungry, she's putting in the hours, and she's unencumbered by personal complications." The word hung between us. Unencumbered. Like my pregnancy was a burden, a weakness, a failure. "This is illegal," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "You can't fire someone for being pregnant." Ishmael's expression hardened. "No one is firing you for being pregnant, Kayla. We're eliminating a position that no longer serves our business model. Your pregnancy has nothing to do with this decision, and I'd appreciate you not making unfounded accusations. The timing is just a coincidence then. I tell you I'm pregnant, and less than 24 hours later, my position suddenly doesn't exist anymore? The decision was made weeks ago. Diane from corporate was here specifically to finalize the restructuring plans." He pushed another document toward me. "We're offering a generous severance package, 2 months' salary, plus we'll continue your health insurance through the end of the quarter." My hands trembled as I skimmed the agreement. "This includes a non-disclosure clause. Standard procedure." He smiled thinly. "We value discretion in all our business dealings." "You mean you don't want me telling anyone you fired a pregnant woman?" "I mean we expect professionalism, even in separation. Sign today, and we can process your severance immediately. I know that will be helpful in your situation." The condescension in his voice made something snap inside me. 8 years I'd given to this company. Nights, weekends, holidays spent, hunched over my laptop to meet impossible deadlines. I'd missed my daughter Leah's school play, Last month, because Ishmael insisted I attend a client dinner. I need time to review this with my lawyer, I said, standing up. His smile vanished. There's nothing to review, Kayla. It's a standard agreement. If you're planning to be difficult about this, difficult, I laughed. The sound sharp and unfamiliar, even to my own ears. You haven't seen difficult yet. Don't make this ugly, he warned. Think about your reputation in the industry. Think about your future. I am thinking about my future. And my baby's future. I tucked the agreement into my bag. I'll need to clean out my desk. That won't be necessary. HR will pack your belongings and send them to you. He stood, signaling the conversation was over. I truly wish you the best, Kayla. This is just business. Just business. The phrase echoed in my head as I walked out, past curious eyes and whispered conversations that stopped when I approached. Jessica was standing by the coffee machine, her expression a mixture of triumph and discomfort. "I'm sorry about what happened," she said, not sounding sorry at all. I kept walking. Holly caught up with me at the elevator, her face pale with shock. "They can't do this. It's discrimination. Plain and simple. According to Ishmael, they're eliminating my position," I said, making air quotes with my fingers. "Apparently, Jessica is taking over a consolidated role." "This is such bullshit," Holly hissed. "Everyone knows what's really happening." The elevator doors opened, and I stepped inside, suddenly desperate to be away from the place that had been my second home for nearly a decade. "What are you going to do?" Holly asked, holding the door. I didn't know. I had a mortgage, a daughter to support, and now a baby on the way. What I did know was that the numbness would eventually wear off, and when it did, I'd need to be ready. "I don't know yet," I admitted, "but I'm not signing their agreement." Back home, I emptied my purse onto the kitchen table. Among the scattered contents was my phone, still recording from when I'd hit the button in my pocket right before entering Ishmael's office, a habit I'd developed after he'd once denied saying something in a client meeting. I pressed stop and played it back. Ishmael's voice filling my kitchen. "She's unencumbered by personal complications." For the first time since walking out of his office, I smiled. I played the recording for the 5th time, each word burning deeper into my consciousness. My laptop screen glowed in the darkness of my living room, the only light besides the half-empty glass of wine on the coffee table. "She's unencumbered by personal complications." The pause before personal complications was damning. The careful choice of words, the hesitation that revealed everything he was trying to hide. My phone buzzed with a text from Holly. "You up? How are you holding up?" I typed back, still processing. "Come over tomorrow after Leah goes to school. Need your brain." 3 dots appeared immediately, followed by, "I'll bring breakfast, 8:30? I sent a thumbs up and set my phone down, turning back to my laptop. I'd spent the evening researching pregnancy discrimination cases, each story making my blood boil hotter than the last. Women pushed out during maternity leave, demotions after announcing pregnancies, restructuring that somehow only affected expecting mothers. I wasn't special. I was just another statistic. The front door opened, and my mother walked in with Leah, back from their weekly dinner and movie night. "Mommy!" Leah launched herself at me, all gangly limbs and bubblegum-scented hair. "We saw the new princess movie, and Grandma let me have ice cream even though it was cold outside." I hugged her tight, breathing in her innocent happiness. "That sounds amazing, sweetie. Did you thank Grandma?" "1,000 times," my mother said, hanging up her coat. Though I'm not sure if it was for the movie or the double scoop of chocolate chip. Leah wiggled out of my arms. "I'm going to draw the princess before I forget what she looks like." As she raced to her room, my mother's smile faded. "You look terrible." "Thanks, Mom." Just what every woman wants to hear. She sat beside me, glancing at my laptop screen. "You're not letting this go, are you? Would you?" She sighed, pushing a strand of gray hair behind her ear. "No. But I'm worried about what this will do to you. To Leah. These fights can consume you, Kayla." "I don't have a choice," I said, closing my laptop. If I let them get away with this, what message does that send to Leah? That it's okay for people to mistreat you if they have more power. That being a mother makes you less valuable. There's a difference between fighting back and letting something destroy you. She squeezed my hand. Just promise me you'll remember what matters most. After she left and Leah was tucked in bed, I returned to the living room and opened my laptop again. This time, I navigated to LinkedIn and searched for a name I hadn't thought about in years. Caden Mitchell. We'd worked together at my first job out of college, before he left to pursue investigative journalism. His latest profile picture showed him with the same intense eyes, but more gray in his beard. His bio listed him as a senior reporter for the Metro Times, specializing in corporate ethics and workplace issues. My cursor hovered over the message button. Was I really ready to do this? To go public? To become a face? A name? A case? The alternative was to disappear quietly, take the severance, find another job where I'd live in fear of the same thing happening again. I clicked the button and started typing. Holly arrived the next morning with bagels and a determined expression. I brought reinforcements, she announced, holding up a paper bag. Carbs and cream cheese, the foundation of all good battle plans. We settled at my kitchen table, and I played her the recording. That weaselly bastard, she muttered when it finished. Please tell me you're going to nail him to the wall with this. I'm thinking about it. I told her about contacting Caden. He wants to meet this afternoon. Holly's eyebrows shot up. You're going to the press? That's bold. Is it too bold? The doubt I'd been fighting crept into my voice. What if it backfires? What if no one believes me? What if I never work in marketing again? Hey, Holly reached across the table and gripped my hand. Those are all valid fears, but ask yourself this: if you don't fight, will you be able to live with yourself? I thought about Leah, about the baby growing inside me, about all the other women who might face what I was facing. No, I admitted, I wouldn't. Then you have your answer. She squeezed my hand. And you won't be fighting alone. The cafe where I agreed to meet Caden was busy enough to provide anonymity, but quiet enough for conversation. I spotted him immediately, tall, with that journalist's alertness, scanning the room as he entered. Kayla, he said, sliding into the seat across from me. It's been, 7 years? Something like that. I tried to smile, but my nerves made it feel more like a grimace. He studied me with the same intensity I remembered. Your message was vague. Potential story about workplace discrimination. Want to fill in the details? I took a deep breath and told him everything. The award, the pregnancy announcement, the firing, the recording. His expression remained neutral, but his fingers tapped faster on his notepad as I spoke. When I finished, he set down his pen. You understand what happens if we run this story. There's no going back. Meridian will fight dirty. They'll dig into your past, question your performance, try to discredit you personally and professionally. I know. My voice wavered slightly. Are you prepared for that? For what it might do to you? To your family? The question hit me like a bucket of cold water. Was I prepared? Could anyone truly be prepared for the storm that would follow? I don't know, I admitted. But I know what happens if I do nothing. They win. They keep doing this to other women, and I spend the rest of my life wondering if I could have made a difference. Caden nodded slowly. Okay. But before we go any further, I need to hear that recording, and I need to know, what exactly do you want out of this, Kayla? What's your end game? I hadn't fully articulated it, even to myself, until that moment. Justice, I said, the word crystallizing my resolve. And to make sure they never do this to anyone else. Caden leaned forward, his coffee untouched. The recording is compelling, but it's not a smoking gun. We need more. More? He literally paused before saying, personal complications. What else could that possibly mean? You and I both know what he meant. A jury might agree, but Meridian's lawyers will argue he was referring to your workload or some other business factor. Caden's expression softened slightly. I believe you, Kayla, but belief isn't enough for a story this explosive. We need corroboration. My stomach twisted. What kind of corroboration? Has this happened to other women at Meridian? Are there patterns of discrimination? Internal documents showing the restructuring was targeted? Other employees willing to go on record? I stared into my cooling tea. I don't know. I mean, there were rumors about a woman in accounting last year. She announced her pregnancy and suddenly transferred to a smaller department, but she never said anything publicly. Find her, Caden said, and anyone else with similar experiences. The more voices we have, the harder it is for Meridian to dismiss this as one disgruntled employee. And if I can't find anyone willing to speak up, he tapped his pen against his notepad. Then we look for paper trails, performance reviews, emails, meeting notes, anything that contradicts their claim that your position was eliminated for business reasons. I don't have access to any of that anymore. But you know people who do. His eyes met mine. This is where it gets complicated, Kayla. You're asking people to risk their jobs to help you. Are you prepared for that responsibility? The weight of what I was considering suddenly felt crushing. Holly had a mortgage too. Alexandra, my mentor in the creative department, was putting her son through college. Was I willing to put their livelihoods at risk for my fight? I need to think about this, I said finally. Caden nodded. Take the time you need, but not too much time. Stories like this have a shelf life, and evidence has a way of disappearing. I was chopping vegetables for dinner when my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Is this Kayla Spencer? A woman's voice asked when I answered. Yes, who's this? Alexandra Oliver, from Meridian. Her voice was hushed. Holly gave me your number. We need to talk, but not over the phone. Can you meet me tomorrow, early, before work? My pulse quickened. Yes, where? The coffee shop on Elm Street, 6:30. She hung up before I could respond. I called Holly immediately. Alexandra just contacted me. Did you tell her what I'm doing? Not exactly, Holly said. I just mentioned that you were exploring your options and might need witnesses to how the company operates. She got very quiet, then asked for your number. Do you think it's a trap? What if Ishmael put her up to this? Alexandra, Holly scoffed. She's been at Meridian longer than Ishmael. If anything, she hates him more than we do. Trust me, whatever she wants to tell you, you want to hear it. The coffee shop was nearly empty at 6:30 a.m. Alexandra was already there, a leather portfolio on the table in front of her. At 60, she was the picture of corporate polish, silver bob, tailored blazer, perfect posture. But today, there was something different in her eyes, something I recognized from my own mirror. Anger. Thank you for meeting me, she said as I sat down. Holly seemed to think it was important. Alexandra glanced around before opening her portfolio. What happened to you isn't an isolated incident. It's happened before. My breath caught. To who? To me. 23 years ago. She pushed a yellowed newspaper clipping toward me. The headline read, "Local woman settles discrimination. Suit against employer." That's you? She nodded. Different company, same story. I was a rising star until I got pregnant with my son. Suddenly, my position was redundant. I fought them and won a settlement, but the terms included an NDA. I couldn't talk about it, couldn't warn others. Her mouth tightened. I've been watching it happen again and again ever since. At Meridian, too? 4 times that I know of in the 8 years since Ishmael took over. The woman from accounting Holly mentioned, Diane. A copywriter 2 years before that. An account manager last summer. My mind raced. Will they talk to me? Go on record? Diane might. She's still bitter. The others signed NDAs. Alexandra hesitated. There's something else you should know. The restructuring Ishmael mentioned, it's real, but it wasn't planned weeks ago. It was rushed through after you announced your pregnancy. How do you know? She slid a document across the table. Because I'm on the organizational planning committee. This is the draft org chart from our meeting last month. Your position is clearly there. Then yesterday, we received this. She produced another document. Notice the date on the revision. The day after you told Ishmael you were pregnant. I stared at the papers, my hands shaking. Can I keep these? Copies only. And you never got them from me. She closed her portfolio. I'm retiring next year. I've kept quiet too long. Watching history repeat itself. I can't be your public witness, Kayla. I still need this job, but I can help you find what you need. Why are you doing this? Alexandra's eyes softened. Because 23 years ago, I wished someone had fought for me. And because my son is about to become a father, and his wife works at a company just like ours. She stood to leave. Be careful. Ishmael has friends in high places. As she walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Caden. Stories greenlit. Editor wants to meet you. How soon can you come in? I looked down at the organizational charts in my hands. Physical proof of what I'd known in my gut. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Diane, and the copywriter, and the account manager. It was about Alexandra, forced into silence for decades. It was about my unborn child, and the world they would inherit. I texted back, I'll be there in an hour, and I'm bringing evidence. The Metro Times office hummed with the controlled chaos of an approaching deadline. Caden led me through a maze of desks to a glass-walled conference room, where a woman with close-cropped gray hair and piercing eyes waited. Kayla, this is Vivian, our executive editor, Caden said. Her handshake was firm, no nonsense. So you're the one willing to take on Meridian Marketing? It wasn't a question. I placed Alexandra's documents on the table. These show my position existed in the organizational plan until the day after I announced my pregnancy. Vivian examined them carefully. Source: anonymous, I said, but credible. We'll need to verify authenticity. She looked up at me. You understand what you're getting into. Meridian is owned by Blackwell Communications. They have lawyers on retainer whose only job is to crush stories like this. My mouth went dry. I know. And you're still willing to go on record, name, photo, the works. I thought of Leah, of the baby, of everything I stood to lose. Then I thought of Alexandra, silenced for 23 years. Yes, Vivian nodded once. Good. Caden, I want this thoroughly vetted. Find this Diane person. See if the other women will talk off the record. Get employment records if possible. She turned back to me. We'll need to photograph you. The story runs stronger with a face. As she left, Caden squeezed my shoulder. You okay? I think so. It's just real now. It's been real since the moment Ishmael called you into his office, he said gently. The difference is now you're fighting back. 3 days later, I sat across from Diane at a restaurant 20 miles from Meridian's office. She was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with nervous hands that kept rearranging her silverware. I never thought anyone would actually do something, she said, after I explained why I'd asked to meet. Everyone just moves on, finds another job, stays quiet. Is that what you did? She nodded. I needed the reference and the severance. My husband was between jobs, and we had a mortgage. Her eyes met mine. But I've regretted it every day since. Will you go on record for the article? Tell your story. Diane stared into her water glass. I don't know. I'm working at Simmons Financial now. It's not perfect, but it's stable. If I speak publicly. I understand, I said, though disappointment settled heavy in my chest. It's a lot to risk. Let me think about it, she said finally. Can I let you know tomorrow? I nodded, trying to hide my frustration. Everyone wanted change, but no one wanted to be the one to demand it. That evening, as I helped Leah with her homework, my phone rang. Holly's name flashed on the screen. You need to check your email, she said, without preamble. Right now. What's going on? Just check it. I'll wait. I opened my laptop and found an email from Ishmael, sent to the entire company team. It has come to my attention that a former employee is making false allegations about Meridian's employment practices. While I cannot discuss specific personnel matters, I want to assure everyone that Meridian has always operated with the highest ethical standards. Any contact from media should be directed to our legal department immediately. Similarly, any current employee found to be sharing confidential company information will face immediate termination and possible legal action. We are a family here at Meridian, and I know I can count on your loyalty during this challenging time. Ishmael. He knows, I whispered into the phone. It gets worse, Holly said. He called an all-hands meeting this afternoon. Told everyone you were disgruntled because you'd been put on a performance improvement plan before your position was eliminated. Said you'd been missing deadlines for months. The lie was so blatant, it took my breath away. That's completely false. I just won the quarterly award. I know that. But he's poisoning the well, Kayla, making sure no one else comes forward. My hands shook with rage. Is it working? Holly's hesitation told me everything. People are scared. Alexandra was called into a meeting with HR this afternoon. No one's seen her since. My stomach dropped. Because of me? This isn't your fault, Holly insisted. It's Ishmael's. He's the one threatening people. But the guilt crashed over me anyway. Alexandra had risked everything to help me, and now she might be paying the price. I have to go, I said, ending the call. I stared at Ishmael's email, reading it again and again. He was trying to isolate me, to make me the villain. And it might be working. My phone buzzed with a text from Diane. I'm sorry, I can't go on record after all. Then another text, this one from Caden. Editor wants to meet again tomorrow. Stories hitting roadblocks. The walls were closing in. Without corroborating witnesses, without more evidence, the story might die before it ever ran. Everything I'd risked would be for nothing. I was still staring at my phone when it rang again. Unknown number. Hello? I answered cautiously. Kayla, it's Jessica. Her voice was hushed, almost unrecognizable. From Meridian. I sat up straighter. Jessica, why are you calling me? Because I need to talk to you, in person, about Ishmael. She paused, and I could hear her shaky breath. I know what he did to you, because he's doing the same thing to me now. What are you talking about? The promotion. The one he took from you and gave to me. Her voice cracked. It came with expectations. Expectations I'm not willing to meet. And now he's threatening my job, too. My mind raced, connecting dots I should have seen before. Jessica's late nights, the way Ishmael looked at her, the hunger he'd praised. Where are you? I asked. In my car, outside Meridian. I can't go back in there, Kayla. I can't face him. Stay there, I said, already reaching for my keys. I'm coming to you. Jessica's red BMW was parked in the far corner of Meridian's lot, partially hidden by a delivery truck. I pulled up beside it, my headlights briefly illuminating her tear-streaked face before I cut the engine. She looked nothing like the polished, ambitious woman who'd taken my job. Her mascara had smudged beneath her eyes, and her usually perfect hair hung limply around her face. I slid into her passenger seat, the leather cold against my legs. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I didn't know, she finally said, staring straight ahead. About your pregnancy, about why he really gave me your job. I swear, part of me wanted to lash out, to ask how she could have been so blind. But the broken woman beside me wasn't the enemy I'd built up in my mind. What happened? I asked instead. Jessica's hands tightened on the steering wheel. After you left, things were different. Ishmael started asking me to work late, just the two of us. At first, I thought he was mentoring me. She laughed bitterly. Then came the dinners, the compliments, the touches that lasted too long. My stomach turned. Did he? No, not yet. But the implication was clear. She finally looked at me. Last night, he invited me to the conference in Chicago next month, said we'd only need to book one room. When I hesitated, he reminded me how easily my position could be eliminated. The same threat, the same pattern. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why now? Because I saw his email today. The lies about you. And I realized that could be me in 6 months. Her voice hardened. I won't be another woman he destroys. What do you want to do? I want to go on record for your story. Tell them everything. Hope surged through me, quickly tempered by caution. You understand what that means? Your career at Meridian is already over, she finished. I'm not going back in there. I emailed my resignation 10 minutes ago. My phone buzzed with a text from Caden. Where are you? Editor's getting impatient. I know someone you need to meet, I told Jessica. Caden's eyebrows shot up when we walked into the conference room together. Vivian's expression remained impassive, but I caught the slight narrowing of her eyes. This is Jessica, I said. She worked at Meridian. She wants to go on record. For the next 30 minutes, Jessica detailed everything. The inappropriate comments, the unwanted touches, the implied quid pro quo. Vivian recorded it all, occasionally interjecting with razor-sharp questions. And you believe your promotion was directly connected to Kayla's termination? Vivian asked. Jessica nodded. Ishmael told me they were creating a special position for me, that I was the future of the company. But after seeing what happened to Kayla, it's obvious he just needed a reason to get rid of her. Vivian turned to Caden. This changes the story. It's not just pregnancy discrimination now. It's a pattern of sexual harassment and retaliation. We'll need to reach out to Meridian for comment, Caden said. Give them a chance to respond before we publish. How soon will the story run? I asked. 2 days, Vivian said. Maybe 3. We need to verify Jessica's employment details and give Meridian the standard 48 hours to respond. My phone rang. Holly again. I stepped out to answer. Alexandra's been fired, she said, without preamble. They're claiming she violated confidentiality agreements. She's being escorted out right now. My legs nearly gave out because of the document she gave me. I don't know. But Ishmael called another meeting. He knows about the article, Kayla. He mentioned the Metro Times specifically. Said anyone cooperating with their hit piece would face the same consequences. I ended the call and leaned against the wall. Guilt and anger warring inside me. Alexandra had lost her job a year before retirement because she tried to help me. When I returned to the conference room, my decision was made. We need to move faster, I told Vivian. They're firing people, threatening others. We can't wait. Journalism has standards, she replied evenly. We don't rush publication because the subject is behaving badly. While you follow your standards, real people are losing their livelihoods, I snapped. Alexandra is 60 years old. How easy do you think it will be for her to find another job? I understand your frustration. No, you don't. The words burst out of me. You're sitting safely behind your desk while women's lives are being destroyed. If you won't publish now, I'll find someone who will. I'll post everything online myself if I have to. The room fell silent. Caden gave me a warning look, but I was beyond caring. Vivian studied me for a long moment. You do that, and you undermine any legal case you might have. You open yourself to defamation suits, and you lose the credibility that comes with proper vetting. Then vet faster, I said. People are suffering now. She closed her notebook. I'll speak with legal, see if we can expedite. But I make no promises. As she left, Caden approached me. That was risky. I'm past caring about risk, I said. This isn't just about me anymore. My phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. Is this Kayla Spencer? It's Diane. I changed my mind. I want to talk. Then another text from Holly. Ishmael just announced an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Something about addressing false allegations before they go public. And finally, a third message that made my blood run cold. From Ishmael himself. We should talk before you do something you'll regret. My office, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Come alone, or the offer's off the table. Jessica read the message over my shoulder. You're not actually going, are you? I looked from her to Caden, my mind racing. Yes, I am, but not alone, and not without a plan. The Meridian lobby felt both achingly familiar and completely foreign as I walked through the glass doors at 8:55 a.m. The security guard, Mike, who'd greeted me with a smile every morning for 8 years, now watched me warily. I have a meeting with Ishmael, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He made a call, then nodded toward the elevators. He's expecting you. My hand trembled slightly as I pressed the button for the 14th floor. In my purse, my phone was already recording. In my head, Caden's instructions replayed on loop. Get him talking. Don't make accusations. Let him incriminate himself. The elevator doors opened to reveal Holly waiting in the hallway, her eyes wide with panic. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, pulling me aside. "The board's already in the conference room. Ishmael's been in there for an hour, showing them documents." "What documents?" "I don't know. But he keeps using the words defamation and liability." She glanced nervously down the hall. "You shouldn't be here, Kayla. This feels like a trap." "It probably is," I admitted. "But I need to see it through." Holly squeezed my arm. "I'll be at my desk if you need me. Just be careful." Ishmael's assistant wasn't at her desk, unusual for this time of morning. I knocked on his office door. "Come in," he called. He sat behind his massive desk, looking perfectly composed in a charcoal suit. No sign of the board meeting Holly had mentioned. No sign of anyone else at all. "Kayla, thank you for coming." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Please, sit." I remained standing. "You wanted to talk. I'm here." Always so direct. He gestured again to the chair. "This will be easier if we can have a civilized conversation." Reluctantly, I sat, keeping my purse on my lap where I could access my phone if needed. "I'll be direct as well," he said, folding his hands on the desk. "I know about the article you're planning with the Metro Times. I know about Jessica's creative interpretation of our professional relationship. And I know about the documents Alexandra stole before her termination." My heart raced, but I kept my expression neutral. "Is there a question in there somewhere?" His smile tightened. "Here's my offer. Meridian will reinstate your position, with a promotion to Director of Project Management, full benefits, immediate vesting in the retirement plan, and a significant salary increase." He slid a document across the desk. "Plus, a generous settlement for any misunderstanding regarding your previous separation." I glanced at the paper. The figure made my breath catch. Enough to pay off my mortgage, fund Leah's college education, and still have plenty left over. "All you need to do," he continued, "is sign this agreement, which includes a standard non-disclosure clause and a retraction of any statements you've made to the press." For one shameful moment, I was tempted. The security that money would provide, the relief of ending this fight. "And if I refuse?" His expression hardened. "Then Meridian will pursue all available legal remedies against you for defamation, theft of confidential documents, and breach of your employment contract. We'll also be forced to release these." He opened a folder and spread out several papers. Screenshots of old emails where I'd vented about clients, complained about deadlines, made jokes that could be interpreted as unprofessional out of context. "Everyone has moments of frustration, Kayla, but these paint a picture of an employee with a negative attitude and poor judgment. Combined with these, he produced performance metrics that had clearly been altered. The narrative becomes quite clear. Your position wasn't eliminated. You were fired for cause." The calculated cruelty of it stole my breath. 8 years of dedication, reduced to manipulated evidence and out-of-context quotes. "You're threatening me," I said, finding my voice. "Offering a bribe to cover up discrimination and harassment. I'm offering you a way out of a situation that will otherwise destroy your career and financial future." He leaned forward. "Think about your daughter, Kayla. Think about the baby. Can you really afford a prolonged legal battle? Even if you win, and that's a big if, what will be left of your reputation?" My hand moved to my stomach, a protective gesture I couldn't control. He saw it and smiled, thinking he'd found my weakness. "You have until the end of the day to decide," he said. "After that, the offer is withdrawn, and we proceed with our legal response." I stood, my legs surprisingly steady. "I don't need until the end of the day." His smile widened. "I'm glad you're being reasonable." "I'm not taking your offer," I interrupted, "and I'm not afraid of your threats." The smile vanished. You're making a serious mistake. No, you made the mistake. I reached into my purse and stopped the recording. When you decided that women like me, like Jessica, like Alexandra, and Diane were disposable, when you thought your power made you untouchable, his face darkened. Get out of my office before I call security. That won't be necessary. We both turned toward the new voice. The door had opened to reveal a woman I didn't recognize, flanked by two men in suits. Ishmael Underwood, she said, stepping forward. I'm Regina Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Communications. The board would like to see you in the conference room. Immediately, his face drained of color. Regina, I can explain. Save it for the board. Her gaze shifted to me. Ms. Spencer, you're welcome to join us. In fact, I insist. As Ishmael was led out, Regina hung back. Your friend Holly is quite persistent. She managed to get an email directly to me last night, with some very disturbing allegations. Then this morning, our legal department received an inquiry from the Metro Times, requesting comment on a story about to break. She studied me with shrewd eyes. I don't like surprises, Ms. Spencer, and I particularly don't like discovering that one of our subsidiaries has been operating like it's 1950. What happens now? I asked. She gestured toward the conference room, where the board members waited, where Ishmael stood, his confident facade crumbling. Now, she said, you get to tell your story, and this time, everyone will listen. The boardroom fell silent as I finished speaking. 14 pairs of eyes stared at me, some sympathetic, others calculating, a few openly hostile. I'd laid it all out. The firing, the pattern of discrimination, the harassment, the threats. My voice had trembled at first, but grew stronger with each word, fueled by the knowledge that I was finally being heard. Regina leaned forward, her gaze shifting from me to Ishmael. Do you have anything to say in response to these allegations? He straightened his tie, a gesture I'd seen countless times before meetings with important clients. This is clearly a coordinated attack by a disgruntled former employee. Ms. Spencer was underperforming for months before her termination. The timing with her pregnancy announcement was unfortunate, but coincidental. Interesting, Regina said, her tone dangerously calm. Because I've spent the morning reviewing performance records. Ms. Spencer consistently exceeded targets. She won your own quarterly award days before her termination. She slid a folder toward him. Care to explain these discrepancies? Ishmael's confident mask slipped. Those records must be… And then there's this, Regina continued, holding up a printout of an email. From you to HR, dated the same day as Ms. Spencer's pregnancy announcement, requesting information on eliminating redundant positions and severance requirements for pregnant employees. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. A board member at the far end of the table, an older man with steel gray hair, removed his glasses. Tell me I'm not hearing this correctly, Ishmael. Richard, you know how these things can be taken out of context. Like the context of Jessica Parker's harassment claims, Regina interrupted. Or Alexandra Oliver's wrongful termination. Or the 4 other women who've contacted our HR department since yesterday with similar stories? My heart skipped. 4 other women. I caught Holly's eye through the glass wall of the conference room, where she stood watching. She gave me a small, fierce smile. Ishmael's face flushed with anger. This is absurd. I've grown this company's revenue by 30% in 5 years. I've delivered record profits. Are you really going to let one woman's vendetta destroy everything I've built? One woman? I couldn't stay silent any longer. There are at least 7 of us. 7 women whose careers you damaged or destroyed because we wouldn't play by your rules. Because we dared to have lives and families outside of this office. You have no proof. Actually, Regina cut in, we have quite a lot of proof, including a recording of you attempting to bribe Ms. Spencer this morning. The blood drained from Ishmael's face. You recorded our conversation. That's illegal. Not in this state, said one of the suits accompanying Regina. Clearly legal counsel. Single-party consent is all that's required. Regina stood, signaling the end of the discussion. Ishmael, you're suspended effective immediately. Pending a full investigation, security will escort you to clear out your personal items. She turned to me. Ms. Spencer, I'd like you to work with our HR department to document everything. We'll need your help to make this right. As security led a shell-shocked Ishmael away, I felt strangely hollow. This was victory, everything I'd fought for, but it didn't bring the satisfaction I'd expected. Regina seemed to read my thoughts. Justice is rarely as clean or complete as we hope, she said quietly. But it's a start. The Metro Times article ran the next morning. My face stared back at me from the front page, alongside the headline, Pregnancy and Promotion, Inside Meridian Marketing's Culture of Discrimination. Caden had done a masterful job. The story detailed not just my experience, but the pattern of behavior stretching back years. Jessica's account was particularly damning, as were the quotes from Diane and two other former employees who'd finally come forward. My phone hadn't stopped ringing since publication. Other news outlets wanting interviews, women from different companies sharing similar stories, even a few job offers. But the call I cared about most came from Alexandra. I never thought I'd see this day, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Not in my lifetime. I couldn't have done it without you, I told her. Your documents were the key. No, she said firmly. You could have taken their money. You could have signed their NDA. You chose to fight instead. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table, reading the article again. The woman described in those pages seemed braver than I felt, more certain than I'd been. But maybe that was the point. Courage wasn't about feeling fearless. It was about acting despite the fear. The doorbell rang. Holly stood on my porch, holding a bottle of sparkling cider and a Metro Times newspaper. Thought you might want company for your celebration, she said, following me inside. Non-alcoholic, of course. She nodded toward my stomach. We settled on the couch, and she raised her glass. To taking down the patriarchy, one sexist boss at a time. I smiled but didn't drink. It doesn't feel like a victory celebration. More like, I don't know, the beginning of something harder. What do you mean? Regina offered me a job, I said. Not my old position, a new one. Director of Workplace Culture and Inclusion. She wants me to help change Meridian from the inside. Holly's eyebrows shot up. Are you going to take it? I don't know. I set down my glass. Part of me wants to burn the whole place down and walk away. But then I think about all the women still working there, all the women who will work there in the future, including Jessica. I nodded. She's been offered her job back too, without the expectations. So what are you going to do? The question hung between us. Through the window, I could see Leah in the backyard, teaching herself cartwheels with fierce determination, falling, getting up, trying again. My hand moved to my stomach, to the baby who would be born into a world still so deeply flawed, yet perhaps slightly better than it had been yesterday. I'm going to build something new from the ashes, I said finally. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because the next woman who gets pregnant at Meridian deserves better than what I got. Because my daughter, both my daughters, deserve better. Holly clinked her glass against mine. Then it's not a victory celebration after all. It's a revolution.